Did you know it was quite a few presidents and their wives that lived in the White House before they had a library? I'm going to be telling you about that. And this is the 13th president's wife or first lady. I have not read it yet. I did glance at it to tell you what I did tell you already. I'm happy to see you today. Today is hashtag Tea Tuesday. This is hosted by our wonderful friend Patty at Life with Patty. You can go check and see what she posts and what everyone else in this awesome collaboration posts. Whole variety here. And originally it started out with just tea. And then it's blossomed into whatever. And Patty is very laid back. And if you can't do it on a Tuesday, post it another day. Just earmark it that it's hashtag it and let Patty know that you've joined in the collaboration. She will be thrilled to have you. I am drinking my coffee with collagen and protein in it and a little splash of wonderful cream. I'm getting ready to go uptown. Let me get a drink. Meet my friend at Subway for lunch. You know, they have that special now. I think it's still on. Every day it's $6.99 for a 6-inch sandwich with a drink and chips or a cookie. And usually when I get that, I get the 6-inch and I have enough to bring home for another meal for later in the day. So it's a win-win situation for me. Okay, are you ready? We have two, and this is the book I'm working out of. This is from Martha to Barbara Bush, the First Lady's. My friend Carol at Crinkle Path sent this to me. I was in the series for the President's series, and you can go back and look at that whole series. And in the middle of having that one, she had sent me this book, and then I started doing the wives. So I'm doubling back now to do the wives that I missed. So if you want to see the whole series and know a little blurb about each president and the wife or first lady, you can go back and catch up on that. It is a great series, and if you are interested, it's not real in-depth about their politics and all that, but it's always a fun thing to know a little bit about each president and each president's first lady. Let's put it that way. Okay, this one is, do you know who that is by looking? I don't. Abigail Powers Fillmore. She served as First Lady during the term of her husband, Millard Fillmore, 13th President of the United States. She was born March 13th, 1798. Abigail's father died soon after she was born, and mother took young Abigail and her brother to a frontier community in Western New York. Abigail, who loved books and read everything she could, became a school teacher. One day in 1818, when she was 19, an 18-year-old farm boy joined her class. His name was Millard Fillmore, and he wanted to become a lawyer. Abigail and her bright new student were engaged within the year. The engagement lasted 8 years. Wow. While Millard struggled to become a lawyer, Abigail continued to teach even after they were married in 1826. Millard won the election to the New York legislation in 1832 and was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. And then the couple had 2 children. Abigail was no longer teaching, but she was still learning. She studied French and piano, and her husband never returned from a trip without an armful of new books for the growing library. Fillmore became vice president in 1849. 16 months later, President Taylor died, and Millard and Abigail Fillmore moved into the White House. Social life in the White House was subdued following Taylor's death and remained so for the rest of the term. When she became First Lady, Abigail Fillmore was dismayed to find that the White House had no library. She prompted her husband to ask the Congress for money for books, and proceeded to make a large room into the White House library. Here, with her piano and harp, Abigail spent pleasant hours. Abigail always preferred her books and her music over Washington's social life. Although she was happy to perform her role as White House hostess, private gatherings in her library was more her style. Abigail's health was failing during her husband's last months in office, and their daughter Abby took over many of the First Lady's social duties. While attending the inauguration of President Pierce, Abigail caught a cold and died of pneumonia a few months later. Newspapers featured stories of Abigail's sudden death, and the government and public offices were closed in official mourning. Let's see, does it say anything? She was 52 at the age of inauguration, and she had a boy and a girl. Okay, I think it tells everything there about Abigail Powers Fillmore. Okay, let's see if we got enough time for one more. Here is our next one. And our next one is the 14th president served as First Lady during the, if I can get it right. Okay. Her name was Jane Means Appleton Pierce. She served as First Lady during the term of her husband, Franklin Pierce. He was the 14th President of the United States. Okay. Jane Appleton's father died when she was 13. And she and her, oops, is that, okay, that's kind of odd. This is kind of, yeah, okay. I felt like I was reading the same story as the last one. Jane Appleton's father died when she was 13, and she and her mother moved to Amherst, Massachusetts. There, Jane met Franklin Pierce, a young lawyer, and the two were soon engaged. Jane's family took a dim view of politics and disapproved of Franklin's political ambitions. Besides, he was known to drink. But in 1834, Jane married him. Jane was shy and melancholy and always in delicate health. She was too frail for household chores. So her husband hired a couple to live with him, to cook meals, and to take care of the house. Jane had 3 sons, but none lived to adulthood. Jane's first child died in infancy. The second died at the age of 4. Franklin and Jane were devoted to their third son. His name was Benny. Pierce, who had been a congressman and the senator, returned to Washington to resume his law career, and Jane thought with a relief that his public life was over. Jane never wanted her husband to be in politics. She fainted at the news that he had been nominated for president. But Jane was fiercely religious and could only bowed to God's will when her husband became the President of the United States. On a family trip from Massachusetts to New Hampshire, 2 months before Franklin's inauguration, the train derailed and 11-year-old Benny, their son, was killed. Wow. Jane never recovered from the shock and the grief. The inauguration took place, but without an inaugural ball. And without Jane. She eventually joined her husband in the White House, but stayed upstairs most of the time, succumbing completely to grief and illness, and finding her only solace was in prayer. Varina Davis, wife of the Secretary of War Jefferson Davis, occasionally served as official hostess. Visits with Varina and her little boy and her awareness of Varina's success as a hostess may have prompted Jane to try harder to fulfill her role. Eventually, she began making public appearances to the dinners and receptions, but she seemed ghostly and sad. The White House was indeed a bleak place. At the end of Franklin Pierce's term, he took his wife abroad to try to restore her health. But Jane, always carrying Benny's Bible, a lock of his hair, returned home, little improved. She died in Massachusetts in 1863. Her cause of death was tuberculosis. She was 46 at the age of the inauguration. That's a sad story. I think they have it made if they make it to the White House, but there's still problems no matter where you are. I hope you enjoyed that. I thank you so much for watching. These are such fun ones for me, and I hope you're enjoying them. A little bit about each one. Okay, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed that. Tomorrow will be budget meals under $5, and I really haven't decided what I'm going to make this time, but I'll come up with something, and I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope you are having a fantastic day. The ones in the East Coast and where you guys are getting a lot of snow and coldness, I hope you stay warm, and I pray God blesses you. Don't forget, if you would, check back on my playlist, and if you've missed any of my videos, I would sure appreciate it if you can go back and watch them, if you wouldn't mind. And I hope you'll like, subscribe, comment, share. See my little sign over there? I think you can see it. By the way, these pictures that I always have are my former daughter-in-law. She left a bunch of these beautiful pictures back here, and I just really think they're beautiful, and they're so easy to just stick up. They're very lightweight, and I stick them up on the door knobs, and I got some pretty background. I will show you my scarf. I know you've seen it. I put this on it. It is a sweatshirt, but it's just too cold around my neck without this. I found this at the thrift store the other day, and I looked at those colors, and I thought, oh, I can wear a lot of colors with that. And so, oh, and it was half price, and I think it was about $1.50. So that's not too bad for a nice big scarf, and sometimes it's cheaper, and I think that's what I paid for it. I don't have my receipt right here, but I did want to mention, I actually will show you the rest of my haul in another video, so you'll see that. Okay, I'm rambling. God bless you. Don't forget, Jesus loves you, and he just wants to be a part of your life, and he cares what you do. He cares what you think, and he'll take care of you if you call on his name. God bless you so much. See you tomorrow.